Hey, everybody. It is Tuesday, which means it is time to hang out. It's time to go live. I'm so excited to talk with you. This is a topic I love to talk about, which is blogging. I'm going to be talking about the reasons why you should start a blog. I'm also going to be talking about the reasons why you should not start a blog. So, this is going to be really, really good. And I'm really going to be peeling behind the scenes of how blogging has made such a huge impact on my business and how I think that it can be a true asset for the right person in the right situation. So, that's what we're going to be digging into today. But first, I want to know because if you're watching this live, it's almost Christmas time. Have you finished your holiday shopping? I have not. So we're like mostly done, but there's a few things that I'm looking at like every day. I like look up stuff on Amazon and I'm like, would it still get here in time? Okay, cool. I should just order it, right? I need to time block it. So I have not finished my Christmas shopping. Not sure if you have. All done. Oh, Lynette, I am so jealous. Please come do my Christmas shopping. So we're going to talk about blogging today, why you should start a blog, maybe why you should not start a blog. That's what we're going to get into today. And really, what are the benefits of having a blog so you can decide if 2022 should include, if your plans should include starting a blog or not. So let me just deep dive first into, or how many of you, let me know in the comments, do you already have a blog? Because I'd be interested to know if you already have a blog. I'm assuming most of you don't, and that's okay, which is one of the things that we're going to get into today. All right. So let me talk a little bit about how traditional blogs make money, because I feel like it's really important for you guys to understand that. And, some people might be finding this video because they're wanting to become a blogger, right? I feel like that was before I knew so much about the online space. I feel like becoming a blogger was like, oh, that's how you make money online, right? Is by blogging. But really, how do blogs make money? And so traditionally, a lot of blogs that you see out there, right? Recipe blogs or family blogs or what are activity blogs, craft blogs, a lot of them make money just based off of purely their traffic, right? So they'll create content, a lot of times, a lot of content, right? Like that's the whole thing is let's create tons and tons and tons of posts. They share them on different outlets. Pinterest is a huge one. For getting traffic to a blog, and so they will share, get traffic to their blog. And then how do they monetize that traffic? Because you don't make money just by people coming to your blog, right? And so a lot of traditional blogs will make money through maybe affiliate offers, having paid ads on their sites, things like that. It's a great traffic model. I mean, there are a great business model. There are blogs out there that make tons and tons of money, right? Like so much ridiculous money. And a lot of it is passive income, which we all know passive income is not purely passive. It takes a lot of work. But essentially, you can make money while you're sleeping if you've set it all up right and you have systems in place. Awesome, right? A blog can be super, super beneficial. However, I truly believe that there are easier, faster ways to make money. And so that's a lot about what we talk about here at the Virtual Savvy, right? How do you make money online? Well, I truly believe that services, right? Virtual assistant services, specifically for a lot of us, it's the fastest way. Because, as you know, as I just described, a blog is tons and tons and tons and tons of people come to your site. So hopefully people will click on those ads, or hopefully you'll have enough traffic to say, hey, come sponsor my blog, right? It takes a lot of time to build up. Whereas services, right? Most virtual assistants can replace their full-time income with between 4 and 7 clients, right? Depending on the size of the packages that they purchase. And so rather than having to get hundreds or thousands of people to say yes to coming to your blog and hopefully clicking on those ads, you need to get 4 people to say yes, right? Awesome. Like, it's why I love services. It's why I love virtual assistants. So we're not digging into virtual assistants today, though. We're talking about blogging, but this is why in today's talk, and this is supposed to be a two-way thing. So please ask questions as we're going along in the comments. As we talk today, one of the things that I want to talk through is how a blog can really support virtual assistant services or freelancing services in general. So if you have gone down just like the I want to be a blogger train, I definitely recommend that you take a look at virtual assistants, take a look at freelancing services, because all the things, all the amazing things that you're learning, doing that long-term game plan. Again, there's nothing wrong with wanting to make a blog that makes money from traffic or sponsorships or affiliates. It's awesome, right? But it's the long game. It takes a long time. Where virtual assistants is the quick game. You can make money faster as a virtual assistant. So if you haven't already, I'll just do a quick plug, virtualsavvy.com/BBO. It's our Become a Booked Out Virtual Assistant webinar. We're not going to talk a lot about virtual assistants today. We do that all the time. If you guys know this, my people, we talk about virtual assistants all the time. So we're not actually digging into that today. But if you want to learn how to become a virtual assistant, this is the training you need to go through. Okay. So let me deep dive a little bit into my story. And then we can kind of talk about how this kind of applies to you as well. Okay. So here's why I started blogging as a virtual assistant and why I think it's a really great option for some people. And so why I started blogging. Number one, I love to write. Okay. Writing ended up being my main service that I offered. Once I kind of niched down by service, I became a copywriter. And so I loved writing. Now, you don't need to be a copywriter to have a blog by any means. In fact, there's some really cool tools that are coming out. One, Grammarly. Like if you're like, oh, I like to write, but I'm not really good at spelling or grammar, man, Grammarly, even the free version is amazing. There's also a tool called, I just tried it out the other day, called Jarvis AI. Really cool tool that literally writes blogs for you. You need to tweak them. They're not perfect, but as far as getting the meat, the content out, I was like, this is really cool. I could write blogs really fast with this tool. So there's a lot of tools out there, even if you're not an expert at writing. So you don't need to be an expert, but my story, I enjoyed writing, right? Another thing for me is that I was really, really focused on creating an email list. Now, we'll get into this about the reasons why not to start a blog right now. I truly believe that you should have your first client. Again, what's the fastest way to make money online is through those services. So focusing on building an email list, I think it's awesome. I think everyone who has an online business, I truly believe should build an email list. I just think it's one of the most valuable assets. It's just a matter of when should you start building that email list, right? And I truly believe that you should have at least your first client. Maybe it's even that you have your client deck full before you really focus on building an email list. But blogging is a great way to build a list, which is what I did. So I started pumping out. And for me, I would do weekly blog posts. You don't have to do weekly. I would do weekly blog posts. They were long form blog posts. I'm talking 1,000 words a piece. And I would promote them on Pinterest, right? And that slowly started getting more and more traffic to my site, started growing my email list. And that was a really, really important thing to me because I knew I eventually wanted to sell courses. I worked for a course creator and he was like, build a list, build a list, build a list. And so I had this long-term goal. So while I was doing my services, I had this longer term goal of I'm also in the background going to be growing a list. I think that's a great way to do it. Okay. Let me pause. Do not let, as I'm telling my story, do not let this be another thing that you feel bad about not doing. Okay. Don't let this be another thing that it's like, oh, I'm failing because I'm not doing this, or another thing I need to add to my to-do list. I know I don't even have clients. No, you get to decide in this live stream if this is the right thing for you to do next. And the answer may be no. So I want you to be just really, really clear and honest with yourself about if you can emotionally, practically handle starting some kind of a blog or some kind of content promotion. Okay. So, so I started that blog. I started writing about, guys, anything, literally anything that I thought would be interesting to my clients, right? So I was offering virtual assistant services. So I talked about blogging. I talked about branding. I talked about, client wins. I talked about like the coolest tech, like the best, like how to improve your email open rates. Like I literally did a bunch of research and just started writing things that I was interested. Like, what did I want to learn about? Let me learn about this topic and then write a blog about it, right? If I'm already doing all this work to like dive into these different things, why don't I write a blog and just kind of share what I'm learning? And I think that share what you're learning experience is one of the best ways to blog. It's really practical. People say that content, whether that's blog content, YouTube content, a podcast, whatever, it should either be educational, inspirational, or I always forget the third one. It should educate, inspire, or entertain. Yes, right? Or it could do a combination. You could educate and entertain people. You could inspire and entertain, or inspire and educate, right? I always fall a little bit more into that education. I feel like most people, not all the time, it depends on your topic, but most people reading blogs, in my opinion, are doing it to learn something, right? So my blogs were usually more educational. So what was I learning? That's what I would share in a blog, right? And so began to build an email list, build an email list, build an email list. And my personal story, I got a list of 1,000 email subscribers, asked them, what do you want to learn from me? A bunch of them said, we want to learn how to become a virtual assistant. And I said, oh, okay, I'll teach a virtual assistant course, right? And so I literally let my list tell me. I just was blogging about anything that I thought was interesting. And then I let my list tell me what they wanted to learn from me. And I launched a course where you could launch a course, you could launch a new service, you could launch an ebook, you could launch like physical products. I mean, there's so much, a new service, right? Like a new high-end service that your list is asking for. You're like, oh, I didn't even know you guys wanted this, right? Unless if you build that audience. So that's one of the reasons that I love building a list. I think that it's really important at the right time, right? So what are some of the benefits of blogging? Are you guys liking this? Is this informational to you? Okay, you guys are asking about the software and I see you. Yes, so good. Okay, keep asking questions and we will do like a Q&A at the end too. So some of the benefits of blogging, right? Because there are a lot of benefits to starting a blog. Number one, it shows off that you are an expert. And so this is one of the reasons that I wanted to start a blog, is because I wanted to start an email list. Why would people be following me in an email list? Because they think I'm a thought leader at something, right? It means that like I have something to say and something to teach. And that is why you're here reading this blog, right? And so if you, and I think that a great place to start, if you're a virtual assistant, right now, just start blogging about, again, the things that you're learning or the things that you're really interested in right now, right? So if you are a copywriter, write about the best ways to write an email or the best ways to, have the best resources for learning copy, the best, like write about copywriting or small business or the things that people reading that wanting your services would be interested in, right? Kind of put yourself in their mindset. If you specialize in Dubsado, then I mean, by all means, just become like the best Dubsado resource, right? And people a lot of times will get scared about giving away too much for free on their blog. And one time I did I did a graph. You guys know I'm a paper person. I always have my little notebook. And so I did like the free paid line. And so I literally, and this is about, I don't know if you can see that line right there. So I wrote on the top, here are all the things that I'm going to talk about for free. And the list was really vast. Like if you go to our blog, you guys know thevirtualsavvy.com/blog, we talk about a lot and we give away a lot of free info. And then the things that are behind paid doors, it's kind of like our special sauce, is down here in the, hey, this is behind kind of paid doors, right? And so you can do that too. Like I think a lot of times people get really scared about giving away too much for free on their blog. But one of our core values here at the Virtual Savvy is value first. And that's how we teach you to do your marketing, right? And I truly believe that if you give and you serve, that comes back to you and people will read your blog, be like, oh my gosh, here's 20 ways to start a YouTube channel in a week. Let me read that blog. Yes. And they'll read it and you maybe gave away everything. You told them exactly what your processes are, right? They'll get to the bottom. They'll be like, that's awesome. Oh, I could hire you to do it. Boom. Yes, I would rather do that, right? And so there's a lot of people that will love to consume the content, but then they'll still want to hire you to actually fulfill it. especially people like me. Have you guys ever taken Strength Finders? My strengths, I literally have all of like the vision and the strategy. I have nothing in the execution in the execution column for Strength Finders. I'm really good at coming up with ideas, but not very good at actually doing them, which is why I hire people to help me with the things that I can't do. And that's what a lot of business owners will do for you as well. They'll read your blogs and then be like, oh, this person knows what they're talking about. I should just hire them to do it instead of doing it myself, right? So it can be a great way to show that you're an expert. It can also be a great list building activity. And again, list building is a great thing to do if you have at least your first client. I would say, I saw a couple of people saying like, yes, I want to start a blog to drive traffic to my services. I think that's a great idea if you already have your first client. Because again, this is a slower way to get people to your site. It's a super impactful way, but those one-to-one connections, our friend and family outreach, going to local networking meetings, like making personal one-to-one connections is always more effective than spewing out information and hoping people come to you, right? It is effective, but it's slower. It's kind of that one-to-many approach. And so the one-to-one, if you're still looking to get your first clients, again, go back to this webinar because that's what you should do first. Okay. This is kind of a step 2 is to start building a list, in my opinion, right? There's ways to do business beyond what I say. This is just from my experience. I can see people get really, really focused on building a list without even getting their first client. And then it takes a while to get traction. And then they're like, well, I don't have clients yet. I'm like, because you haven't even asked like your Uncle Joe who owns a business if you can like be his VA, right? So let's start there. All right. I did not silence my phone. Discount Dave's is calling me. Okay, so number 3, sharing a blog keeps potential prospects engaged. And this is one of the things that even if your blog isn't reaching millions of people, right? Like even if you don't have tons and tons and tons of traffic coming to your site, I do think that even doing a monthly or every other week putting out some kind of content, maybe it's not even on a blog, maybe you don't have a website yet, which is fine, right? Because we also say don't start a website till you have your first client. So even if you're just putting out blog style content in your emails and you're just emailing your list, even if your list is like 20 people, right? And you're emailing it every other week, it just keeps you top of mind. So I think that that's really important. If you have an email list, guys, you have to email this and you have to email them. I'm going to get real with you. Okay. Can I be real with you? Say, like, let me know in the comments if I can be real with you. One of the hardest parts of having a new email list is that there is this like fear that happens when you email your list, because every time you email, almost, right? I mean, for me, it's every time I email, I get unsubscribes. And you're like, I almost don't want to send an email because I don't want people to unsubscribe, right? It's so like anybody who has an email list, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And after a while, you're like, oh, it's no big deal. So like over at the Virtual Savvy, we'll get hundreds of people that unsubscribe every time that we send an email, right? They're just not interested. They signed up with multiple emails. They're not doing virtual assistants anymore. They got a full-time job. It doesn't matter the why, right? They unsubscribe. And now it's like, oh, it's no big deal because we have 125,000 emails. We're starting a brand new email list over at Hello Savvy, our sister company. And literally every time we send an email, there's unsubscribes. And I'm like, no, come back. I need you. I need you. And it's terrible. And I'm feeling it all over again about like how much it sucks, but you got to do it, right? And so don't be scared. It's totally normal if you're getting unsubscribes. Now, there are like percentages you need to look up, like, hey, my unsubscribe rate needs to be below a certain percentage, right? And if you haven't emailed your list in a while, that percentage is going to be higher. So like over with Hello Savvy, we went like a couple months without emailing, and then we emailed and we got way more unsubscribes than we should have, but it's because it kind of compounded, all those months, and we didn't email people. So people are probably like, oh, who are you again? Like I clicked on a Facebook ad from you like months ago and I don't know who you are. Get out of my inbox, right? It's why it's important too, if you're going to do an email list, to email. I think every other month or every other week is a really good starting point. And so it could be that you're emailing them a link to your blog. It could be that you're just writing something there in the content. So, benefits of blogging: it shows off that you're an expert. It's a great list building activity, and it keeps potential prospects engaged, right? It positions you as a thought leader. It just keeps you top of mind. Like, oh, I got an email from Natalie again. Gosh, I gotta contact her because I want to hire her. I just haven't gotten around to it, right? Let me pause right here. Let me take a look at the comments and make sure you guys are following it. Yes. Um, oh, you guys are asking really good questions. Okay. Let me answer a few of these, and we'll do like a more in-depth Q&A at the end. So if I don't get your question now, then I will get to it, I promise. Is there a particular platform you recommend for using a blog on my own website? Yes. So if wherever you're hosting your website, I say have that be where you do your blog. Unless you don't have a website yet, then literally you could just, if you have a list but not a website yet, you could just write your blog style content in your emails, just really high value emails, right? Um, if you don't have a website yet, our top recommendation is usually Squarespace. It's kind of that mix between like WordPress is like the most technical, but it can be the most difficult to kind of put together, but it's really good for like SEO and all of that. Whereas like Wix is like super easy to put together, but it's not great like SEO. So Squarespace, I think, is a really good middle ground. So that's one of my favorite places to refer people to is Squarespace. There's like beautiful templates online. There's a little bit of a learning curve, but it's relatively easy. We have a Squarespace course inside of Savvy Vault. If you guys haven't checked that out, that's really a really great resource as well. Strength finders. You can just Google strength finder test. There's like a book. I think you can buy it on Amazon, and then it comes with a code. It's a really cool test. I was a big fan of it. So you can just get that book on Amazon. Yep, you can add a blog page to your existing website. Yes, yes, yet. If you could you be a little bit more specific about CTAs? So yeah, did I say the word CTA? I don't even know. So a CTA is a call to action. So anytime that you write a blog, or anytime that you write an email, or anytime that you share something on social media, well, I have thoughts about, you don't always have to have a CTA on social media, but because sometimes you just want to put out valuable content and you don't have to always call somebody to action. But a CTA is a call to action, right? And so most of the time when you're putting out content, like if you're going to email your list, having a call to action is kind of like, what should they do? Like, I read this, so now what, right? So it may be something that is a way to engage, like, hey, book a discovery call or check out my new packages or whatever, right? Sometimes you don't want to do that hard sell. Sometimes it may be like, reply back with your favorite XYZ. Every time people reply to your emails, like, and I'm talking about a big email list, right? So you're using MailerLite or ConvertKit or MailChimp or whatever to send out mass emails. Having people respond back to your email is like good Google juice. I'm really technical. I just know that it's good for like basically your email gets, like, your domain gets like this like score, like, this is a good domain that's not going to end up in spam, or this is a bad domain. It's gonna, and the more people that hit that spam button, it like puts you lower. The more people that engage with your content, who click on it, who open it, who reply back, that's all good, right? So every once in a while, throwing in a like, reply back and tell me, what your 2021 or 2022 biggest plan is, or something like that. So a call to action could be, click on this blog. It could be, here's my new services, book a discovery call. It could be just reply back. It could be something that they don't even have to do anything, like, hey, I encourage you to do this action item. Take 5 minutes and write down your biggest goal for 2022 or something, like giving them some kind of call to action is what a CTA is. Okay. Let me know in the comments if you have more questions about that, and we will do another Q&A time at the end. Okay. I feel like this is really important to note. Okay. So benefits of blogging, right? It shows that you're an expert. Great list building activity. Did I still not turn my phone off? Seriously. And that it keeps potential prospects engaged. I feel like it's really important to note that there are other ways that you can do that as well. So we talked about, if writing just isn't your thing, then and you want to start producing content, because that's what this is. A blog is content creation, right? It's positioning you as an expert in some way of producing content. And so producing content could look different, right? Producing content could be that you start a YouTube channel. It could be that you start getting super active on Clubhouse or on Instagram, and that you're doing like an Instagram reel a few times a week. It could be that you are okay, so what did I say? Blogging, YouTube, podcasts, Instagram. It could be that you're getting on other people's podcasts, right? Like you're focused on getting featured. It could be that you start speaking, right? It could be that you start a Facebook group and you start going live, kind of like I'm doing here, right? So I feel like creating content, like all the things that I just listed, right? A YouTube channel, a blog, a podcast, whatever. It positions you as an expert. It's a great list building activity and it keeps prospects engaged, right? So I feel like as long as you're using all of those things to be a list builder, then like you don't have to choose a blog. You could choose a podcast or just don't do all of them. That's like my ask. Just don't try to do all of them because if you're starting a Facebook group and starting a podcast and starting, you know, trying to speak and trying to no, like I'm what 6, 7 years in business. I don't do all those things. Like I physically can't because I can't do. If you can't do them all well, then like why do them, right? So just pick like one, maybe two. So we started out with blogging, like really, really blogging, and I would share it with an organic Pinterest strategy. Like that was it in the beginning, right? Once I felt like I had a really good system for that, I'm like, okay, this is going good. Then I added a Facebook group. Okay. And this was my journey, right? Yours can look totally different. To date, we still don't have a podcast. I don't do anything on Clubhouse, right? I don't do anything on TikTok. I don't, and like, there's always a little part of me that's like, oh, I should. And maybe we will at some point, right? When we feel like the other things are going so well that it's like no big deal to add it on, right? If you guys haven't read the book Essentialism, okay, I forget who it's by. Somebody drop it maybe below. I'm giving you, I should have like Amazon links for you today. So Strength Finders is a great book. Essentialism is a great book too. Essentialism is, all about like just doing a few things really, really well and not having your focus be like in a million different places because you're not going to go as far if you're pursuing a million things as if you just put your time and energy into like a few things and do it really well, right? So alternatives to blogging, just know, like as I'm talking about, man, start creating content. It could be a blog, but it could be something else as well. My story is that I blogged, right? And so that's what we're talking about here today. But what you decide, your journey, it might be different. Okay, so let's talk about some reasons why you should not start a blog, and then we'll do some Q&A. Okay. I also want to mention, and I'll tell you guys this at the end too, that we have a bunch of resources over at thevirtualsavvy.com. In fact, let me just share it with you real quick. So this is our swag page. You can go to thevirtualsavvy.com/swag, or when you go to the Virtual Savvy, you can just click the swag button here. And we have our virtual assistant starter kit. We have a bunch of resources here. But I actually want to go down to the very bottom because if you are thinking about starting a blog or any other content, honestly, check out this 75 blog ideas ebook. And it's ideas for your blog, but spoiler alert, you could also use these for a podcast or a YouTube channel or going on other people's podcasts or just things to write your email list or what to share on social media. Like it's all just content ideas for virtual assistants. So check that out. It's a really, really great resource and you can get it at thevirtualsavvy.com/swag and it's free. So check that out. Okay, so we talked about alternatives to blogging. Now, let me remove this. There we go. Here's why you should not start a blog, okay? And I keep alluding to this because I just don't want people watching this live stream and being like, oh, I'm failing because I don't have a blog yet. No, you're just at your step in the journey, right? And your path may never lead you to a blog. It may lead you to something else, and that's fine. So number one, you hate writing. Like if you hate writing, don't start a blog, right? That doesn't mean that you have to be an expert at writing, and that's why I shared some of those tools earlier. But if you hate writing, don't commit to doing a blog every week. I also, let me just this is like a side note. I'm always really, really careful that I don't overpromise and underdeliver. Always underpromise, overdeliver, that kind of thing, right? So I try as much as possible. I never say, I'm going to start sending a weekly blog that blah, 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 right? Because what if there's a week that I don't want to send a blog, right? So in my head, I may start sending a weekly blog and I might plan out, like in my content calendar, a weekly blog or whatever, but I don't ever announce, here's the thing that I'm doing every single month or twice a week or whatever. I really, really try not to do that because sometimes they don't happen and that's fine, right? Like, I don't know. That's just a little side note is that the whole under promise over deliver I'm a big fan of. So if you hate writing, don't start a blog. Number two, this is a huge one. If you don't have your first client yet, unless if you just want to be a blogger and you don't need quick money, you're like, I'm good. I sold a business and I'm laying on stacks and stacks and racks. I'm not cool. I don't know how to say this. But like I have tons of money and I just don't need immediate money and I want to do the long-term game and I don't want to do services. Well, then fine, start a blog and know it's going to take a long time to like build it up to be financially that picture that we said in the very beginning, right? If you want to start a blog and you're a virtual assistant or a freelancer, make sure you have at least your first client, okay? I just really, really want you to have that win for yourself because this other stuff is a long game. It can help you get more clients, but those one-on-one relationships is what's going to get you the clients fastest, right? And again, a blog is housed on a website, and we say don't even do a website till you have your first client. So yes, everybody. You with me? Say I'm with you, Abby. Maybe I will not start a blog until I have my first client. I just need you guys to say it. Okay, number three. Again, you have another way to position yourself as a thought leader, which means you're doing one of those alternatives, right? You're like, I don't really want to do a blog because I'd rather do a podcast. Cool, sweet, do a podcast, right? Do the best dang Dubsado podcast that exists on the internet. The best organizational VA, like let me organize your business on a podcast thing that you can, right? So those would be the reasons why you should not start a blog. Okay. So that's all I have for you. I want you guys to dig in because for me, I have my own journey. I have what has worked for me. I'm happy to open up what has worked for me to answer any questions about blogging, about virtual assistants, about starting with freelancing, right? Or any other questions that you have. So go ahead and start dropping those questions below. And then you can answer this question too. Do you plan to start blogging in 2022? And I'm really okay if the answer is no. You won't hurt my feelings because I feel like some of you guys are like, I actually learned from this live stream that I should not start a blog. And that's okay. That actually means I did my job. If some of you are like, yes, I want to do this. And some of you are like, nah, that's not for me. So let me know in the comments which is right for you. And you can let me know too, what's an alternative? Like maybe like I'm hoping by the end of 2022 that I can start a podcast or that I can start speaking or start whatever, right? Start really getting engaged on Instagram, something like that. So let me know. And then I'll remind you too, the virtualsavvy.com/swag. That's where you can get that 75 blog ideas ebook, which can be used across so many different social platforms. So check that out. So let's do some, I didn't make a banner. Oh, that looks bad. Q&A time. There we go. Let's do some Q&A time. What do we got, guys? I'm here to hang. Okay. Let me go back and try to find where we started questions. Okay, yay. People are putting the comments, all those books I referred to. No blog until my first client, I swear. So good. Okay. If the website allowed, would you recommend email collector pop up prior to being able to read your blog or make it sign up optional? I always do sign up optional. Again, like our mentality, and there's people who view this differently. So again, you may read a different strategy. We have always done free content, free content, free content. And here to find out more, check out this freebie. One of the things that if you go to the virtualsavvy.com/swag that I was showing you here, another thing we have is create your irresistible freebies, right? Which is kind of how you convert those email subscriber or those blog readers to email subscribers is having an irresistible freebie. And so creating a freebie is part of having an email list, right? So uh, I always think that, hey, let me show the value so that people know, like, oh, this girl's legit, like I need to pay attention to what she's saying, and that's going to entice them to download the freebie, if that makes sense. Okay. um what if you had a few one-off clients, not any retainers? Do you wait until you retainer or long-term clients? I would say yes. I would say yes, wait until you have retainer or long-term clients, or at least predictable income. Like, if your services are one-off services, do you have a steady stream of those clients? If so, I mean, if you feel like you've exhausted all of your one-to-one methods, then you could try this. But for most of us, I feel like we haven't completely finished doing the one-to-one work that we know is needed. Um, to really get some retainer clients. So that would be my first focus if it was me. Great question. Um, ooh, great question, because this is not something that I spoke about how long a blog post should be. So, gosh, there's different theories on this. You know, it used to be the thing. Like, Google has kind of changed how they prioritize blogs, right? And for a lot of you guys, I'll say this too, like, your goal may not be to have like the highest search ranking. It may just be to provide valuable information to your clients at first, and that's fine, right? But if you're going to be blogging, I think it's a great idea to kind of learn SEO, at least SEO basics. And so there's a lot of really great resources for that. Um, I'm a huge fan of, like, if you want to go all in and you're like, I want to learn SEO and I want to know everything about it, the resource that I love is, like, if you're looking for like the big kahuna course on it, Brian Dean. He also has his website's Backlinko. He has a lot of really great free content as well. He's a good example of like producing free content to get you to upgrade to his bigger stuff. So yeah, Brian Dean with Backlinko is a really good resource. And he's all about long form. So he's like, people used to do where, like, I'm going to do a 500 word post every single day, 5 days a week. And that was like how you could rank on Google, which just isn't really the case anymore. It's really more about like really quality content, and to be honest, backlinks as well. And so, like, if you're going to rank for in search, so for that reason, I always did longer ones. I really liked doing educational, like 1,000 words was always my minimum. But again, you could do something different. Maybe you know, maybe you create a video that's more like tutorial like, and then you just have bullet points as your actual content, right? Like, there's no set way to do it. And especially if you're not as concerned with SEO ranking and you're just kind of wanting, you could do like an organic Pinterest strategy. And your videos might not rank that great on Google, but you can get a ton of traffic just by posting them on Pinterest, right? So there's different ways to go about it. I really don't believe there's one right way, and some people will be like, no, there is a right way, and I'm like, I've seen so many people be successful in different ways that I'm like, that's different. That I'm just not really set that there's always one right way. So for me, I enjoy reading 1,000 word blog posts. So think about that. I think that would be the best question. Like, what do you enjoy reading? Like, if I'm going to read a blog, then I want it to be like, oh my gosh, this is like bookmarkable, right? If you can write a bookmarkable blog post, like, what would it look like? That's what you should write. Okay. For me, it's usually at least 1,000 words. Um, maybe it's something for me to plan for Q2. Yeah, I think so. It's like Q1, get my first retainer client. Q2, start blogging. Have you ever had a blog fall flat? What was the topic? I don't know if I would necessarily say that, because all of my blogs, I feel like any content that I've put out, it's all a learning experience, right? So we definitely have blogs that get more views or less views. Oh my gosh, I have a blog that is probably the most popular blog on my site It came with a YouTube video. It was a YouTube video that we embedded into a blog post, and I did it years ago. It is still our most popular, blog, like YouTube video and blog, and it's how to create, a signature in Canva. Guys, that video is so bad. I literally was in a coffee shop on my laptop and I filmed this video, uploaded it to YouTube, and it became, I mean, I don't know how it's gotten like 70,000 views or something. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is people's first impression of me so many times. It's this like crappy video." But you know what? It just goes to show you that your stuff doesn't have to be perfect, you know? So that's, like, not falling flat, but in my eyes, I'm like, "It's not perfect." It's like, "It's okay." People find that content, they're like, "Well, this is a cruddy video," and then hopefully they pop around and see that my videos got much better, right? Um, yeah, oh my gosh, I feel like this is it, Bonnie. Yes, it's easy to procrastinate getting a real client because it's scary. I want to blog because, hey, I'm doing something. Oh, does that hit anybody else? Sometimes that feeling, it's like I'm being productive because I'm doing stuff and I don't have to tell anyone about my business because I'm doing stuff. Yeah, I feel like that hits the nail right on the head. Oh my gosh, you are not alone. I guarantee you, you're not alone. The name of the blog builder program you mentioned, so Squarespace is a really good one. Also, we use WordPress with Beaver Builder, and again, we have Savvy Vault courses on most of these. So if you are ready, if you have your first client and you're ready to start a website, I would either again, these are just my personal preferences. I'm a huge fan of Squarespace. I'm also a huge fan of WordPress using a simple builder. And for us, we use Beaver Builder. So, yes. So, such good questions, guys. Yep, virtualsavvy.com/swag, and you have to scroll down to the very bottom to find that. Okay, awesome. Not clear how to monetize. I feel like we talked about that a little bit, Gail. So I would go back to the beginning of this. We talked about how blogs traditionally monetize, and how we, as virtual assistants and freelancers, the goal is to push people to our services, right? And so that's why we started. That's why we blog. It's why we start an email list. It's why we start building a list of potential clients so that you can keep yourself as a thought leader, keep in their inbox so that when it is the right time to hire you, they know, oh, this is the person. Ooh, blurry camera. So they know this is the person I'm going to hire because you've been showing up, showing value consistently in their inbox. Okay. So that's kind of how blogging leads to clients. It's the long game. I'm not going to lie. It's the long game. And some people never do it. Some people never do it. I want to make that really clear. We have VAs who are making five, 10, $15,000 a month who have not blogged ever, who have never, some of them don't even have a website still, literally still have like a coming soon page on their website. Okay. And that's because you do a good job, word of mouth, referrals, one to one connections, you can build out your client base. I think blogging is really great for people who want to build an email list, maybe want to go on to do a course or a big group coaching program or just sell services more at scale. You want to build like a huge agency. Like if you just need 5 clients to book out your services and you're like, that's all the money I want to make and I'm good, like just do that. Like you don't always have to start a blog. So I just feel like it's really good for people to know all ends. It's so funny, guys, talking about like that you don't have to have a blog. I've been getting massages at this place, like this local place, for 2 years now. Okay. You book through their website. That's like, I love that they have like a place to book online. I'm a huge fan. So they have like a booking, but they're actually, it literally, you go to their website and it just says, our website is coming soon. Book here. Okay. And this place, I mean, granted, this is a different industry, but still, This place is killing it so much that they just moved from like their one office to like an office that's like 4 times bigger. They have like 20 massage therapists now. Like they are booming without a website, without a blog, without it. It's word of mouth, referrals, right? So it's another service-based industry. It's not freelancing, it's not virtual assistants, but just know that you can be super successful without these things. All right. It's kind of just choosing the path that's right for you. So if I can help clarify, if you think it's the right path for you, like I'm happy to do that. But I just like for you guys to see what's possible. Do people have blogs available for members or as an opt-in? So yeah, this somebody else asked that too. I've never done that. There are people who do that. Like there's something called The Hustle I've found the other day that is like it's kind of like this membership, and then they like basically give you access to a blog, and like that is their business. But and like I get it. And they're successful. People subscribe to them, but I don't know. That's just I'm more of a value first. That's the way I do business is like, let me give you the value and then you can subscribe, you can put in your email for more information. No right way to do it, but that has what I have found to be more beneficial for me personally. Is a landing page better when you're first getting started? Yes, totally. You can just, if you want to go ahead and snag that domain, like if you found your domain and you went ahead and bought it, but you're like, I'm not really ready to do a full website. Maybe I could just do a quick landing page. I think that's awesome. Leadpages.com. They're awesome. You can just put your domain on there and you could have like a one page, just simple landing page that maybe links to a freebie or maybe just links to like a discovery call, kind of like that massage place I talked about, right? It's literally like my website's coming soon. Book a discovery call with me here. And that's it. So that's something that you could do with lead pages. I mean, there's other tools you can do it with too. You can do it on Squarespace or whatever, but lead pages makes that really easy. Another not TikTok or Instagram, Clubhouse. So I never got into Clubhouse. Are any of you guys Clubhouse people? People are like, you need to be on Clubhouse. I'm like, I don't want already. Like for me, Clubhouse, I didn't get it. I remember I'll just tell you an embarrassing story because you guys are the people who stick around to the end of the live streams are the ones that get the embarrassing stories. So the first time okay, what is Clubhouse? Clubhouse is like, gosh, what is it? Clubhouse is like it's a virtual way to like enter into a room of people talking about a topic. So there's usually like a host and they're presenting, but like other people can chime in as well. So it's literally like if I signed up to go to this conference with a speaker, but like other people could like talk and ask questions in the room as well. That's kind of what Clubhouse is, right? People love it. Like there are people who are obsessed with Clubhouse. There's people who've grown huge followings on Clubhouse. I the first time I ever went to Clubhouse, I was we were on a vacation somewhere. I remember we were in a hotel room and we didn't get separate rooms. Like I always try to get like a separate room for me and Rob because I don't go to bed at the same time as my kids, right? And so I try to like have like the kids in there and me in here, but we didn't do that this time. We were just sharing a hotel room. So we had two beds, kids had fallen asleep, and I was like, I'm gonna just go to the bathroom, but I'm gonna want to do one of those bathroom stops where I'm there for like a really long time. I'm sorry, hate me if you want, but it just happens sometimes. So I'm just, hanging out in the bathroom like for a really long time. Like an alarmingly long time. And I'm like, what's Clubhouse? So I sign up for Clubhouse, I get in, I start listening, and then all of a sudden I'm like in a room and I'm like, I don't know how this works. And like this like sheer terror just goes through my head. And I'm like, can people hear me right now? I'm literally going to the bathroom on Clubhouse. Can people hear me right now? And I was so embarrassed that I logged off and I never went on again. That's my Clubhouse story. Yeah, so I'm not a Clubhouse fan for that. I'm just scarred from my Clubhouse experience. Some people love it. Um, okay, awesome. You guys have asked some really, really great questions. Thank you for showing up today, as you guys always do. I'm always just so impressed by you and your questions. Again, virtual assistants, it's fastest way to make money online. you can go to thevirtualsavvy.com/BBO if you haven't already. We have an amazing, like 90-minute, I think, ish webinar. It might be 60 minutes. I need to go back and check it. 60 to 90-minute webinar, just talking about how to make money as a virtual assistant, which I truly believe is the fastest way to make money online. I think blogging can be an awesome long game for the right person. The short game, it's services. So go to thevirtualsavvy.com/BBO if that's something you're interested in. And yeah, I hope you have an awesome rest of the day. Bye, guys.